We're back. This is Andrew Clay Schaefer, and I'm doing little DevOps days here in Pittsburgh, and we're here again with another sponsor. Today I'm joined by Andrew Phillips. I'll let him tell a little bit more of his story, and then we'll have a chat about some DevOps.
Hi, Andrew. Yeah, meeting of the Andrews today. My name is Andrew Phillips. My day job is I'm the VP of Product Management for Xebia Labs. We're a proud sponsor of DevOps Days in Pittsburgh. I'm really looking forward to being there, but I guess we'll talk more about that a bit later. My background, I am a software developer by background. I worked for a bunch of multinationals, a bunch of startups, and I've been on both sides of the DevOps fence, if you like. I've been in the Department of No, and I've been frustrated by the Department of No. And I've been coming to DevOps Days for a while now, 3 years or so. I've spoken at a bunch of them. I've put up a bunch of contentious stickies, including, as we were discussing a little earlier, how DevOps should be spelled. So I'm in the lowercase O camp. I'll wear that on my sleeve straight away.
I'm in the lowercase. I do it all lowercase, as you'll notice.
That's a good way. That maybe avoids some of the discussion here. So yeah, no, my background is very much in, I've done a lot of Agile from the early days, if you like, and so the idea of applying Agile ideas to further down the value chain, if you like, not just in the development part, has always been a very interesting topic for me.
So let's go to that. What does DevOps mean to Andrew Phillips?
What does DevOps mean to Andrew Phillips? Well, I certainly subscribe to, if you like, the canonical definition. It's the application of Agile ideas to operations, and terms like Agile infrastructure, as you were saying, Andrew, and Agile operations, I think, make a lot of sense to me. I think ultimately what we're seeing people trying to achieve is trying to find a better way of getting everybody who's involved in the value chain to understand what's going on and to work together to focus on the real end goal, which is trying to make your customers happier by giving them stuff that they can use. And we know that that can be done, partially through just simple things, low-hanging fruit like tooling. That's where we kind of come in. But ultimately, it also means that you have to have an organizational structure where the people at the beginning and the people at the end, understand that they're really supposed to be working at the same problem rather than kind of fighting each other.
It's all one team, only one tribe. Well, you guys also did something interesting recently. Xebia Labs did a survey of the industry, and maybe we could talk a little bit about what that survey is and what you learned or kind of what you see from there.
Sure. No, I mean, we do a yearly survey around trends in the delivery, because we're a company that does delivery automation, like deployment automation, pipeline coordination, that kind of stuff. As far as it's very important to know what the trends are in the application delivery space, and how are the people out there looking to deliver stuff this year, next year, and whether that's your server-side apps, your mobile apps, your Internet of Things type stuff. Because this is also one of the reasons we love coming to DevOps Days, is ultimately what really matters is what the people on the ground are doing, the people who are out there trying to make this happen for their companies. So one of the things that we ask about is obviously what initiatives are coming up next year, what are you looking to do? I think it's no surprise that DevOps and continuous delivery are both really high up there. I think perhaps an interesting fact is that whilst a lot of people have this as an initiative, and it's getting more and more management attention now, so it's not something the hero has to kind of do at the weekends, neglecting the family, all that kind of stuff. There's still a large question mark around what exactly it means to do DevOps. I mean, it's easy to say we want to be DevOps, but concretely, what do we want to achieve with this? That's still a big open question, and I think it's also interesting to see that people have a big knowledge gap. There's one of the biggest risks, or one of the questions we asked is, what is the biggest risk you foresee for your implementation, your initiative? And they said lack of knowledge, lack of experience. So it's not so much everything is manual. There's plenty of automation tooling, us and of course a million other people out there. It's, do we have the right people, the right skills to make this happen? So I think putting these two things together, the lack of knowledge, lack of experience, and the what is DevOps actually, I think that boils down to the fact that guidance is really important here. If you're coming at this space right now, it's very difficult to figure out. There's so many examples, so many case studies. Well, what makes most sense for me? So some way in which people can have an easier way of understanding, this is my context, this is the problem I'm facing, this is maybe an example to look at, and this is what they did, and whether that means changing their process or getting some tooling in place or a mix of both, I think that will certainly help people avoid some of the confusion and be more successful with their DevOps initiatives.
Definitely. The thing that you said to me when we were first kind of talking about the survey was that your biggest takeaway was that people don't just need tooling, they need guidance. And I think that's so true. You know, watching from my own personal vantage point, that it's one thing to see the talks and to see, you know, whatever Netflix is doing. It's another thing to take that back to your context and know where to get started. And the other thing that you maybe want to talk about for a second that I thought is interesting is this kind of notion of heroism and this transition to champion. So maybe that was a really articulate way to talk about this. And so I'll give you a chance to say that right now.
You know, yeah, I'm happy to do that, and I'm very interested to hear. So for those of you who are coming to DevOps Days, and I hope that's all of you watching this this video, there's a very interesting talk called Hero to Zero in the program, which you mentioned, Andrew, and I'm certainly going to try and come to that. I think, and it's partly also to do with the fact that, you know, if you've done some work in this area, things are maturing. There's more acceptance at the management level. It's becoming a golf course kind of topic. What we've seen in the initial phases is that DevOps was largely, or the work that was done, certainly in operations department, was hero work. There was a guy or a girl or a group of people who were highly motivated. You know, they'd seen these great examples. There was not necessarily a budget, not necessarily an official project, but they thought there was a way to make things change, and they invested their evenings, their weekends, you know, trying to get examples from the internet, trying to figure out what to do, gluing lots of things together, and doing very, very impressive things. And I think, you know, of course, those people deserve enormous recognition within organizations. But I think, just as if like one of the hardest things with your own children is at some point you have to let them go and become like independent people in their own right. I think this is becoming the time, as DevOps is reaching acceptance and as it's becoming less of a skunk works project and really a way our organizations, the companies, want to do business, has to move from something that rests on the shoulders of the hero to something that is really robust, reliable, and for everybody to use in a kind of efficient and successful way. And so that means that the hero has to, you know, take a step back from their creation, look at it, and say, okay, so where is there maybe just a little bit too much glue? Where am I really the only person who understands how this thing actually works? What do we need to do to make this?
You shouldn't have to pull Excalibur out of the rock to make this.
Oh no, that comes a little bit later. No, of course I agree, but I think the transition here is, as also there's more acceptance that we need someone who will then oversee the initiative. I think the hero is in the perfect position to move away from the person who does all the legwork and all the midnight shifts to get this stuff to work, to a position of looking how the team is using the setup that we've created, and making sure the cultural change happens and gets evangelized about. And you know, part of that means, as I said, at some point you have to make the system robust and usable for everyone.
Well, I know we're excited to have you in Pittsburgh, and you know we definitely depend on the sponsor support to have these kind of events. But I would just like to ask you, and as I've asked all the other sponsors, what you feel like your organization gets, what does Xebia Labs get out of sponsoring these kind of DevOps Days community events?
I think I tried to say it a little earlier. For us, the really big thing is, you know, we can sit and we can talk to, you know, all our customers, all our users, but really to remain relevant and to be at the forefront of this space, you've got to be speaking to the people and motivating the people who are on the ground. And I think DevOps Days are a great way, both for experts in the field to share their knowledge and for new people who are coming into this space to get some ideas. And you know, the more we can contribute to this dialogue happening, I think the better it is for all of us. On a personal note, I'm really looking forward, of course, also to seeing Pittsburgh. I heard it's a great city, and drink some of the good beers they have there. So I never have a problem with my company sponsoring me to come out to Pittsburgh. Put it that way.
Well, I think that's a perfect way to end this. So thanks for your time, Andrew.
Cheers. Thanks, Andrew.